E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show. Live streaming now to millions of devices around the world on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook live streaming. Our shows are available video on demand on these channels. And we broadcast daily, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on these channels. On Mondays, Expanding Your Business. Tuesdays, Natural Health and Wellness. On Wednesdays, we cover mentoring our youth. And on Thursdays, our new show, Ideas Worth Knowing. And on Fridays, Women in Leadership. To be able to watch our television show on your favorite device, please go to e360tv.com and download the app for your favorite device. Brought to you by our producers and hosts, Jim Grant and donnaguinouard. Along with our host, Beata Severin Reed and Emersonbrantley. Supported by our admin team of Michaela Vidal and Gaia Guinois Balconi Weda. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or good morning, or good evening, whenever you see this wonderful broadcast, whether you're watching us live or video on demand. We're just so glad that you tuned in. And today, on this Friday here, I'm joined with Kimberly, I should say. And she has such a wonderful message today. And I've known Kimberly for, several years now, and I'm very familiar with her story. And she, how can I say it? She's a true warrior. She didn't run from anything. I'm still trying to adjust my mic and all that, so if I talk like that, you'll know it's my mic and not my tongue. But first of all, we sincerely hope and pray that you and your loved ones are healthy, happy, and blessed in all areas of your life. And I'm going to share something with you. I normally do this at the very end, but I'm going to give a shout out to my good friend, Mr. Bill Heinrich. Bill is the author of The 7 Levels of Truth. That's the book that you'll see there. And this is a picture of Mr. Bill's smiling face. And at the very top is what I want to share with you, because these words are very, very important. I want you to, embrace this. It says, this book is for anyone that's seeking answers and solutions, and they want success in their life. And because, listen to this, your birthright, let that soak in, your birthright, you have the birthright. It doesn't come from anybody else except the Señor in the sky, as I call it. But your birthright is for you to enjoy the abundance of life, to live in love, peace, joy, and harmony. That's your birthright. No one has the right to take that away from you. And in The 7 Levels of Truth, Bill wrote from his life. That's what makes this book so valuable. Because Kimberly knows Bill, and that book was 30 years in the making. Back in the 90s, he decided he's going to quit drinking. And he lost his wife to cancer, and he decided he was going to go out and find himself and look for why he was so miserable. And Bill and I have had some very deep conversations on that subject, and because our lives in many ways ran parallel, even though we didn't know each other. And I told him, I said, well, we're definitely brothers by different mothers, that's for sure, But Bill, his passion, and this is why I want to go into this, and this is going to lead us in what Kimberly's going to be sharing with you today. Don't let anyone tell you you're not worthy. Don't let anyone try to rob you. and try to put you down, because people who put others down, that's their way of demonstrating loud and clear that they want to put you down because it helps them feel good, better, I should say, about their worthless life. Because anyone that puts someone else down, they're dealing with some demons inside. They really, truly are. And you need to let that go. And one of the things that I also share with people, I normally do this towards the end of the show, but today we're going to do everything backwards because it's the last day of the week. And every first day of the week I have to be retrained on how to do stuff, so I ain't going to worry about it. But this gentleman right here by the name of Earl Nightingale, I'm scrolling down there, we got about 500 ticker tapes here, but The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. I encourage you to listen to that, ladies and gentlemen, at your spare time. It's an MP3, so there's no movie to watch. It just has his solitary picture there. You can put on your earphones, sit back and relax, or lie down and relax. Listen to what he says. And you know what the strangest secret is? I can't tell you. It's a secret. But Kimberly, today, I want to turn the mic over to you. First of all, I want to thank you for all of the work that you put into the show on Fridays and what you bring to the party. And for those that may not know, who you are, what you do, just give them a little background there about who you are and how you became an advocate.
Yeah, thanks so much. You put way more effort into this show than I do. I do my part, but this show is here because you hold the space. So I just want to give credit where credit is due, Jim. And you know, uh, I'm in the club where people say that we're glad that it's here for people to have support, but it's a club we wish we didn't belong to.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, you know, it's through the personal experience of my own that after a number of years, I made the decision that one, I needed to face the demons that were confronting me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did that, I decided that, I do not want other women to, or men to, go through so many of the, you know, hurdles that I was going through. And so it became important to me to really start getting a more thorough understanding and education so that I
Mm-hmm.
could understand all the different aspects, that go along, that touch somebody who's gone through domestic violence. So I have spent a number of years now doing that. And, it feels so good when you are interacting with survivors and
Mm-hmm.
uh, they have a light bulb go on, and they see their life differently. That there is life after parting from that abusive relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and I get so much. I just feel so honored to be in their presence all the time because I have found that it's a gift that keeps giving back to me. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
uh, I love nothing more than working with them all.
Sure, absolutely, because one of the things that really means a lot to people out there, regardless of what they're searching for, if they're searching for someone like Kimberly to help them in their hour of need from physical abuse and things like that, Kimberly didn't attend a webinar. She didn't read a book. She didn't decide, hey, I could talk about that. Kimberly has skin in the game. And that is the one thing that makes us as humans and makes us superior to AIs. I know there's a lot of talk about AI, but the human factor, people still want to talk to a human. I mean, that's pretty evident when you call up. I was talking to AT&T, and I've blasted AT&T a few times here on the phone because, or on the show because the system we have out here, I'm still on DSL in the country, but I'm switching over to internet air. So maybe I hollered at them enough that they figured they better give me some satellite coverage or whatever. But anyway, I told them the last time I talked to them, I said, you people, crack me up. You're in the communication business and you don't know how to communicate with us. They got that AI answering the phone and, artificial intelligence, and I tell them I think it's just all ignorance to me. It doesn't have that human factor, that ability to touch. And see, that's something that each one of us have. That's our thumbprint, you might say. It's our gift. And Kimberly took her gift and her struggles, and she says, I know there's other people out there that can benefit from what I've learned and how I've had the strength to overcome. And that's what I admire about you, Kimberly, because when someone talks to you, they know they're not talking to someone that just attended a webinar, read a book, or some AI. They're talking to the real deal. They're talking to the person that that's been through the trials and tribulations of that. And I admire you because you took it to the Senate, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I have been so fortunate to have the experiences of being able to be before the Senate and the House, here, and be able to share my story, and it has had a huge impact on, in that particular process of those bills to,
Sure.
see them get passed. So that's amazing to,
Mhm.
feel like you're part of that process that all of us, hold dear as, being part of, this country.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And see, that's another thing too, but her standing there or sitting there and testifying, coming from the heart, even though those legislators up there, they may not have experienced anything like that, but she touched them. That's that human factor. And, Kimberly, I'm hoping that someone out there today, male or female, makes no difference. You will know whether or not this resonates with you and whether or not you could be a good listener to someone that's going through troubled times, whether it's abuse, whether it's financial problems, no matter what it is. Everybody needs a friend that's there for them, that will listen to them, and cares about them. That's just, I can't say that enough. I really can't. And Kimberly, you sent me some notes there, and I was looking at them, and the things that you were talking about here, you know, like I couldn't get these uploaded here right. I was going to share these on the show, but StreamYard's kind of particular here. But you want to talk about, how people that feel struggles with self-doubt. Did you?
Yeah.
I mean, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask the question. Did you ever struggle with self-doubt?
Yes, would be the simple answer. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think still today, with as much work as I've done, I still have those moments where it's you. I can feel that creeping back, and fortunately, I have some tools now
Hmm.
that help me, work through that process. And but
Hmm.
so many people find themselves in that position of,
Oh, yeah.
especially if they, and it goes across the board. You don't particularly have to have been in an abusive situation. People can just themselves, based on
Oh.
experiences they've had in their life,
Mm.
how they felt like they were positioned in social groups while they were in school. That creates that self doubt and their
Hmm.
their image. And today, those that are in the younger generation are also combating what social media winds up giving
Oh.
a prescription or image of
Yeah.
what the perfect person is, or
Hmm.
being in the perfect group, or
Hmm.
it just doesn't matter. It touches
Oh, yeah.
everybody's life where and you know, when it's constantly in your face 24/7, 7 days a week, that's a lot of images and thought processes that you're
Hmm.
having to, fight against.
Oh,
That,
yeah, yeah.
especially, during those imperative years during your as a teenager, where it's so important to feel like you fit in with everybody else.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you said that. You might have saw me clowning around when I was doing this, asked her about self-doubt. And I was just hoping she didn't say, yeah, right after you asked me to help you co-host the show on Friday, you know. No, but I'm glad you said what you said because a lot of people uh, do not realize when I came back from Vietnam in 1970, I did not fit in. The weirdest thing for me, I grew up in my hometown is Shelby, North Carolina, and I grew up on a farm. Simple life. We didn't have any problems. I don't recall. We had one bully in school, and I accidentally on purpose hit him in the back of the head with a ball bat. True story. I'm not making that up because he was bigger than me, and he had flunked a couple of grades. So he was up here and I was down here, and we were out there at recess, and it's my turn to bat, and he just came up behind me and shoved me because he was a bully. And so I went flying into the dust, face first, and I picked up the ball bat, and finally I just had enough of him. I walked around behind him, and he went down like someone dropped, yanked the carpet out from under his feet. And it scared me. I thought, oh my gosh, I've killed him. And then he moaned and groaned and got up and rubbed his head, and I thought, oh my gosh, he's going to kill me. But from then on, he never bothered me. I'm not encouraging hitting people in the back of the head with a ball
Right.
bat. No, let me make that very clear. But I'm saying that's what happened. But other than that, my life was very sheltered. And where I'm going with this here, when I came back to Vietnam, one of the strangest things that I experienced was that I wasn't relaxed at all. I felt like I could breathe air, but I wasn't getting any oxygen. I felt like I was living in a dream world. Then to put salt on the wound, I didn't know why, but I did know that I didn't fit into my hometown anymore. And that was a lot for me to process. And I had no one to talk to. And so that's why I chose to drink, And even when I drank, I just get off to myself and drink. I just put quarters in the jukebox and just listen to music and drink, and that was the way my world turned, as sad as it was, but that's the way it was. And I struggled with the big three: who I was, who my friends and family thought I was, and the other thing was that deep down inside, who do I want to be? Where am I? I was lost. And I know what a lonely feeling that is. And there's no one you can talk to. And then, people would ask me, why aren't you happy to be home? Why don't you snap out of it? And I was just kind of like, get out of my face. And, I don't even want to talk about it. I had no one to talk to. I'm not throwing up. I don't want anybody to, feel sorry for me or anything like that. I'm just being open and honest that that's the way, and I didn't have a patent on that. All of us Vietnam veterans are like that. So when people would ask me if I took Uncle Sam's inoculations, tell them, nope, I learned a long time ago he's not my buddy and I don't trust him. But when it comes to people having self-doubt, we all have self-doubts. We truly do. That's why in his book, W. Clement Stone wrote that if you got nothing to lose by asking, go ahead and ask. But think about how many times the self-doubt and the fear will stop you in your tracks. That paralyzes a person, doesn't it, Kimberly?
Self-doubt is, it's the same thing for all of us that,
Mm-hmm.
what is it that, Superman, it makes his weakness go away, is that
Mm-hmm.
self-doubt uh, can be so debilitating for,
Oh,
and and block people from being able to progress forward, to create a tremendous amount of different issues that wind up, you know, finding their way into your life that didn't necessarily need to be there, but because you don't feel secure in,
Mm-hmm.
decisions that you either follow what other people think that you should be doing,
Oh,
which
yeah.
never lead to, good choices when you don't have, a foundation of, what are your beliefs? What are your
Mm-hmm.
opinions? What are your feelings? What
Yes.
do you think is best for you? It kind of reminds me of, I've had the experience of being a survivor, and then I always think about too is that, which is probably very relatable to only women, but when you're pregnant, everybody has an opinion of what they think the best things for somebody, to be doing, and they're
Oh,
always
yeah.
willing to give, suggestions, even though it may not be asked. So, uh, when as a survivor also, people always have opinions also of, the what you should have done and what you
Oh,
should be
yeah.
doing, and uh, why aren't you, and sometimes, people come across as if they're almost aggravated or offended the fact that you haven't, given into what it is that they thought you should be doing. And,
Mm-hmm.
everybody has their own journey. Everybody has,
Oh, yeah.
where it is they are in life at that moment, that,
Mm-hmm.
where they need to be, of
Mm-hmm.
where their purpose is, what they need to learn. And uh, self doubt is kind of like, what I say is like the umbrella that has
Mm-hmm.
everything that's underneath it. And self doubt also, works hand in hand with lack of self worth, lack of self esteem, and
Mm-hmm.
lack of confidence. Like those are their, self doubt's best friends. So, they all partner together and can cause quite a stir.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that because, you know, when I got on this, got invited to join E360 TV, I have a warped sense of humor. And some people that know me real well just think it's a lack of sense. But, I remember I was telling a buddy of mine that I got invited on the be on this TV show because we were basically doing Facebook Live and Zoom. We were big time there for a long time during the lockdown because that's all was available. People were in their houses, and you call up somebody, you doing okay? Yeah, I got a lot of toilet paper. Well, you're doing okay then, because that seemed to be the big hot issue. And we got invited to take this show from Zoom and Facebook Live to be on E360 TV. And one of my friends was asking me, talk to me about it. He says, "Hey, Jim, are you nervous?" I said, "Nah, man, not me." I said, "I got a face for radio and I got a voice for newspaper." But I've always, because of where I came from and knew that I survived. And the key to of it is to forgive yourself for some of the things that you've done in your life. That's very, very, very important. And some of the things that I did in my life, especially in that situation I mentioned overseas on the other side of the earth, I was able one day to give thanks that it bothered me, because it did bother me. Because the other side of that coin, ladies and gentlemen, is what kind of a person would I be if it did not bother me?
Hmm.
That's scary. That's scary. So if something is bothering you, be thankful. Because if it's bothering you, you have the right to give yourself permission to ask for forgiveness and forgive yourself and be thankful that it bothered you. Because if it didn't, what kind of a person would you be? Because I love what Bill Heinrich says, we were on the radio show, Your Future Is Now. I've had that show for many years, and I didn't know what Bill was going to talk about. I really didn't, because we had a cancellation of our guests, and me and Bill, we were I was his co-host, and he was my co-host, so together we just kind of like co-hosted along. And anyway, Bill says, I'll take the ball and run with it. That's okay. And now the show is Your Future Is Now. It's always on positive messages and that sort of thing. And I said, Bill, what are we going to talk about today? And Bill said, well, Jim, my life's a mess, and so is yours. And I said, well, you narrowed that down pretty quickly. And we'll be back right after this 55-minute commercial. But what Bill was saying, and we went into it in great detail, was that it's okay where you are right now because that's the perfect place for you. Embrace it. Even though it might be a horrible environment that you're in, or a horrible situation, or something you're going through that you just wish never happened. Embrace it. It's the perfect place for you because it's where you are right now, but it's not where you're going to be. And we're born into a world of survival. So let all the physical things that you cannot control, love yourself enough to let it go. That's one of the things that, I think Bill says that every single time I've heard him talk. And I know, Kimberly, you've heard him talk. And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, first time, you know Angel Marie Monticelli, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And she gets up and she's very lively, and
right.
with her song and her music. We were up, and I got to tell a story about Bill, since he said my life is messed up too, right? But we were up in Colorado Springs at the Pathway for Vets, and I was the MC of the thing. And Angel got up there, and she's so energetic, she's so lively, she's so fantastic, etc. And she had everybody up and dancing and clapping their hands. I don't think you were there, were you, in Colorado Springs with us?
No.
No, huh? That's right before we met, yeah. Anyway, I made the mistake. I'm trying to catch up, and when you don't have any encouraging fluid in your body to get the job going, and coffee doesn't do it as well. But anyway, I made the mistake of looking over at Bill, and I lost it. Bill was doing something that looked like a cross between the Watusi and the Boogaloo. And I just lost it. And of course, when you're trying to dance and keep up with everybody else and stuff and do what they do, you start laughing, you're done for it. So I just snuck out the back door and cracked up. But
That's funny.
yeah, that's a true story. Yeah, because but Bill's message, when you hear him speak, what does he vibrate there, Kimberly? What's your impression when you see him speak?
When Bill speaks, he speaks from the absolute truth of just exactly either where he is, or he just knows where, because of what his own journey has been, of where people are. And sometimes it kind of has this stinging feeling when you're confronted with it, because those are the little things that we tuck away to overlook and not see what necessary our little faults are. And but he always talks about what the possibilities are. It's not about what your fault is, it's about what it is that can become. And he's always about what is your real truth. And anytime, even if it's been a while since I've spoken to Bill, all it takes is, I don't know if you've experienced this, within a couple of minutes of speaking with him, he automatically can tell you of where he thinks you are, that from where you were to where you are right now today. And he is so kind, and the way that he comes across and gives you that message. And sometimes it makes you feel really good because he can see the growth that you've done. And then there are moments where maybe it was something you didn't want to have to confront yet, and so you kind
Hmm.
of like oh, so
Hmm.
it doesn't matter. Like he just tells it as it is. But it's a blessing to have somebody like that is within your circle. But because at the end of the day, at the bottom of what he's saying, it comes from the heart. Is that
Hmm.
he wants everyone to feel like they can live to the potential that they have.
Yes. I remember, Bill and I, first time I saw Bill, he has these azure blue eyes, and he has an intense look at you when he looks at you, like he's looking right through you. And I was in Orlando, and Bill was coming in the door, and I just got done speaking, so I'm making my exit out to go to the restroom. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and we didn't connect. That's why I guess that's why he said, my life's messed up and so is yours. But anyway, because he looked like he was on a mission because he's got an intense stare about him, and it's very misleading to you because as I got to know him, this guy is really something else.
Mm-hmm.
We were down at Largo, Florida, there at the Speaking Empire, and me and him we were attending a course there and break time, and uh, we went over into the break room there, and he was sitting there at the table there, and he's drinking a cup of coffee. So I got a coffee, and I walked over and sat across from him, and by that time I had a good rapport with him. And what Bill has a unique ability to do, he has a unique ability of reading you very well. And he asks you questions and he draws out information. And he says, Jim, your calling in life is to be where I am right now. He says, that's where you need to be. You've got a message. You have the ability to connect people. And I didn't know that. And sometimes it's good to have someone who will listen to you, who can say, hey, time out here. I don't think you're looking at the big picture. You may be stuck on the physical thing. When you need to let that go, you can't control it anyway. And you need to look at the bigger picture. Because where you are right now is not where you're going to wind up. It's just a pit stop down the pathway of life. And Bill has that unique ability. And another point that you wanted to talk about, and I want to hear this too, is that, keeping each survivor in the mode, because a lot of us survivors, we're in the self-blame. If I hadn't have done this, it's like when I worked with the Department of Justice, you asked an inmate, what happened? Well, I went over there to help this friend of mine, and if I hadn't went over there, the cops wouldn't even known I was planning there, so it's his fault I'm in prison. Oh, okay. The blame game. Okay. And, not accepting responsibility. And when you blame yourself for things that happen to you beyond your control, without your consent, that enslaves you, doesn't it, Kimberly?
There's a couple thought processes to the blame game,
Okay.
and one is that uh, you know blaming uh, is that those who are in, and it doesn't matter whether you're in a domestic violence situation or anything that you come across in life, is that that people will say that they blame you because
Mm.
uh, it's your fault that things happened,
Mm.
and that
Yeah.
means then that uh, nobody chooses to take the time to look at the whole situation as a whole and be able to look at the progression of
Mm-hmm.
things. And
Yeah.
so that is blame without knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So that is that is whoever, it's really important that each one of us realize that when that blame game particular category is going on is looking at the
Hmm.
fact that it's coming from somebody who has not taken any interest, but has gone by, a quick thought, a quick opinion,
Hmm.
or something that has been said to them. So, that is a uneducated blaming, that is going on. And then there is, the just ourselves personally of, the blame game of, it's my fault that I was in that situation. It was my fault that I
Hmm.
should have done this. It's my fault. Like, there's not enough space in a day for any particular person at all
Hmm.
to be at fault for every single thing that goes on in their
Oh
life in
yeah.
a day. On average, people, as they go through, whether they work in an office, whether they're just out in public, but people are connecting with other people.
Hmm.
It may not be on a deep personal relationship, but like 30 to 50 different situations that they are confronting where a different part of who they are comes out. You can't be, that is an awfully huge number to hold yourself
Mm.
accountable to say that
Yeah.
it is your fault for
Hmm.
every single thing.
Yeah.
There's a difference between blaming yourself and looking and seeing that what is it of how I've approached, a
Hmm.
particular relationship, a particular situation,
Hmm.
and how is it that I could have guided myself through that differently.
Right. 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 And sometimes in life, it's a good thing if someone blames you for something that you were not involved with, if it's good for the whole. And that reminds me of a true story. Kind of, it's funny now. It wasn't funny then. It was back when I was in the military. A couple of my amigos had partaken of the fruit of the vine, you might say, and they did something stupid, and I'm not going to go into all the details. But anyway, I got blamed for it, even though I wasn't even there. And I was talking to them one time on the phone here about 3 or 4 years ago, and they were, ha, 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 you remember that? I said, do I remember it? You two morons, I'm the one that got blamed for that. You guys did not come to my defense. I did not snitch you off. But sometimes in life, it might be a good thing to let someone blame you if it takes the heat off of someone else. Because if you say it wasn't me, it's them, you might be redirecting more heat on them than is absolutely necessary. And that shows that you really care about your friends. And it's important for a friend to know that you're there for them. That no matter what happens, you're not going to, turn and run or give them up or anything like that. And that's what I did in that situation because I knew if I explained it, it wouldn't have made any difference. So why drop them into grease? And I was told, but when they laughed at me, said, "Hey, you remember that?" Yeah, I remember it. I was the one that almost got shot over that deal.
Well, I think just that comment alone, Jim, kind of touches on one of the things that uh, I think is important for somebody to learn too is that when you have different things thrown at you, it's an opportunity for you to communicate
Hmm.
what your boundary is on
Yeah.
what you will take on and what you won't take on,
Hmm.
and when you find the and that comes through work of like finding your strength. I
Hmm.
call it your superpower. Is that we all
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
superpower within us, and when you connect with that, allows you to communicate, what your boundaries are, and as you work on that and stuff, you wind up finding out that there may be people that are in your life that uh, for are not the right people for you to continue to have in your life.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I think I've heard you mention this before. Is that sometimes People are in for the short haul, and some people are in for the long haul, in your
Hmm.
life. And all have equal importance because no matter what part that somebody played in your life, there was a purpose behind that
Oh, yeah.
helped you, grow into
Hmm.
a better version of yourself. Instead of
Hmm.
saying, I wish I would never have done that. Turning that around and saying, uh, uh, look at what I learned of what
Hmm.
it is that I
Yeah.
will accept and won't accept,
Hmm.
and how I want to do things differently. And when you
Hmm.
turn, that conversation around, it allows you to, uh, you know, it's not that you're trying to say that I am not responsible for anything that maybe that you
Hmm.
wish you would have done differently. It just means that it has been an opportunity for growth for you to see,
Hmm.
how you could have approached, that differently, and it sets you up for being a better and better version of yourself every time
Oh,
you turn
yeah.
that conversation around.
I like that because what I'm hearing you say is that you've accepted responsibility, you have forgiven yourself, and you said, I'm not going to do that again. And that is critical. That is pure growth on the inside, isn't it? It
It
really is.
absolutely is. You know, there's I went way too long, too many years where I felt so much shame, guilt, embarrassment
Mm.
of things that I felt that I didn't do correctly. I should have done differently, and so not wanting to disappoint anybody. I always found a way to kind of like skirt, around it. And now, you know, I look at it much differently.
Hmm.
I have taken that opportunity to turn those conversations around and, take the power back in the
Yeah.
mistakes that I've made and say, I
Hmm.
understand that, what, this is a mistake I've made and I own it. I know how I want to approach things differently. It's wasted energy to look at like, oh, and spend time of like, I should have done this and this on a particular part of your life that did not go well. You are much better served, and it's not as draining and as exhausting as to say, this is what I learned and this is what I'm going to do differently, and go from today forward. Because even I know you've spoken about it. I know Bill for sure has spoken about it.
Oh, yeah.
Spending time in whether you want to call it the past or history, uh, is does nothing but uh, it's self-loathing. It's keeping yourself in
Mm.
the victimization mode.
Yeah.
It's because when you do that, you want to. It's almost like you're projecting, like I'm a victim of my own choices, and
Yeah.
there's nothing learned in that. You
Mm-mm.
only learn when you say, yes, this is what I did.
Hmm.
Yes, this is what happened.
Yeah.
And this is what I have been doing differently and, moving forward. So
Mm.
there's so much that can be, learned from, uh, you know, stopping the blame game,
Oh,
whether it's
yeah.
yourself or whether it's coming from someone else, and learning how to develop boundaries for yourself and boundaries for the people that are around you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And like in The Strangest Secret there, and it's covered in many books, Bill covers it in his book. But you know what's really weird? And this is something we all have to guard against. I mean, including me. I mean, I don't have a PhD in this department either. In fact, I don't have a PhD in any department. If any PhD I'd have would be, first word would be pending. The second word, the H would stand for help, and D was that, oh, he's a dummy. But, but realistically, one thing we need to understand is that our subconscious mind can either be a great ally for us or a great enemy for us. Now, I want you to think about what I just said there. Compare your mind to of the soil outside. If you got good topsoil, as say our brains, it's got good topsoil. It's good. But if we plant nightshade out there, which is a poison, The soil doesn't know any different. It's just going to grow nightshade. If we plant corn, it's going to produce corn. Also, too, with our minds, whatever we plant up here and think about, the subconscious mind, 100% of the time, will not let you fail.
Such
So
a wonderful point. Yeah.
if you're worried about something and you're thinking, well, I don't want this to happen, that to happen, your subconscious mind, because they don't know what else to produce except that failure, because that's what your mind is on. Set yourself free. Who was it? I'll just say this in a nice way. I'll clean it up. But do a mental flush, because you really need to clean up your mind. And I had Susan Pilkington. She was a good friend of mine. I had her on the show one time. And I was trying to do something. We were live on TV. And I said, Grant, you idiot. She says, Jim, don't you ever do that again. She corrected me right there. She says, you do not realize when you say, Grant, you idiot, and I've said that a lot, more times than I hate to admit, but it's true. She says, you are training your subconscious mind that you're an idiot. She said that on live TV. And she's right. And the reason I don't have any problem admitting that, not that I'm an idiot, but the reason why I don't have any problem admitting that is because by admitting that, that's my way of saying it doesn't own me. I'm not going to let it, pretend like it didn't happen. It doesn't own me. I'm going to let it go. And train your brain. Oh my goodness gracious. I taught a course on that one time. I think right now that I think about it, I probably need to go back and take a refresher course for yours truly. Look in the mirror and preach the gospel to myself, you might say. And Pat.
It's so funny. It makes me think of so many times for forever. I think that I have always said, Kim, I can't believe you did that.
Oh, yeah.
Or you did this again. And it took a lot of, training myself.
Yeah.
And now, instead of saying that, the words I choose to use is that, what opportunity are you giving yourself to learn now, Kim?
Yeah.
And it just sets a different precedent for myself of, where it is that I am exactly. Is that, it's everything's always a learning opportunity. I always think of, I had a customer that I had for years, and he was just such a gracious and genuine man, and he always had some type of little piece of advice or 2 cents to add. And I just remember at times when I was going through some of the worst times in my life, he would say, you know what, Kim, you just need to take those lemons that you've been given and see how much lemonade you can make to share with others. And I always, always, always have remembered that. That is stuck with me forever. Is that when I at times feel like I'm frustrated or don't have understanding why I'm going through, and I think that I thought of it very often as I've been going through this whole breast cancer journey. Is that what is it? When I first got the diagnosis, I thought, why is this happening? And it took me a little bit to get out of that space. And then I realized, I thought, it's not about, why has this happened? And I reflected back onto what, my buddy said, and he said, you've been given a big bag of lemons. And so how much lemonade can you make to share with other people as to, what is it that you've learned, through this process? And, the number one biggest lesson, and I know that if I shared it with Bill, he would be so proud, feeling like, maybe his, endless little comments, said something is that, one, why not me?
Mm.
And number two is that, um, you know, you have life looks more colorful. People are more important, like the ones that you really care about are more important. And
Hmm.
every day you wake up, I find myself, no matter if something's stressful or not, I, take in the moment and
Hmm.
uh, be gracious for the moment that I have
Oh,
right
yeah.
now, because not every day is guaranteed. I've had too
Mm.
many instances in this cancer journey where, I was told straight out by 8 doctors surrounding me that they felt like I only had a 5 to 10% chance making it to the next morning. So, I am so, so grateful for
Oh, yeah.
every single day that I have and the people that enter my life and the
Hmm.
things that I am able to do right here and now. It may not be, it doesn't matter if it's not where you want to be or where you want to go. It's about the journey. It's about
Hmm.
what is it that you get to experience in this space right now that
Oh,
brings
yeah.
you joy, that brings you happiness, that what it is that you have around you. Uh, you know, uh, People will complain about what it is they don't have in their life. And so many times when I have spoken to people, I said, uh, I can appreciate that, but look around you. What is it
Hmm.
that you do have? Like, what is
Hmm.
it that you have accomplished?
Yeah.
Because you are sitting in that space because of what it is that you have accomplished. So,
Yeah.
take that in and let that soak in. Is that you do have what it takes. It's just that you're having to figure out whatever your particular uh, situation is right now and take
Hmm.
what got you to where you are now as a the uh, uh, diving board to push you into the next chapter of where it is that you're going to go.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As you were saying that, it reminded me of a few things I'd like to share very quickly. When I'm late, it seemed like every stoplight would catch me. And I remember one time me and a guy were going somewhere, we're late, and after I got there, I told the guy, I says, I want to apologize for being late. We had car trouble. He said, oh, really, Jim? What's wrong with your car? I said, nothing. We had trouble getting to it. And we had, every stoplight was catching us. I'm thinking, man, oh man, and this is a sales call, and we're the salespeople, okay, going to make the call. And we were sitting there at this one light, and I popped off, and I said, I don't know why they have this light sitting here this long or whatever. I said, what do they expect to see coming down the road? The second coming of Christ or what? It just popped out there, ladies and gentlemen. My buddy said, don't you realize that it could be for a reason? We could have been in a car accident or somewhere. And I never really thought about that. But there's two things I want to share with you. In the book, that W. Clement Stone and Napoleon Hill wrote, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude, they co-authored that book. W. Clement Stone is real big on waking up the brain. Get up in the morning and look yourself in the mirror. You may have to wash your face with cold water, whatever. But 3 times, and each time you take it up a notch with more energy. I feel healthy. I feel happy. I feel terrific. I feel healthy. I feel happy. I feel terrific. And that really does help you get going. It really does. I don't necessarily need that in the morning. I got some high test caffeine coffee. That seems to do the trick. But one night, oh, you ever been out there when you're almost, about falling asleep and you get up and time you get to the bedroom, you lay down and, your
Yes,
eyes are
I
like
can't tell you how
tape
many
wide.
times that happens.
Yeah. And this one time, I don't know why, it had to come from an intelligence much higher than me. But I said, I ain't got nothing else better to do. I'm not going to lay here with a flashlight and turn it on and watch my toenails grow or anything. So I just started giving thanks for anything and everything I could think of. Thank you for my dog. Thank you for my home. Thank you for this. Thank you, I got clean clothes in the morning. Just anything that popped in my mind. Because there's no bad answer when you're giving thanks for something that you don't normally give thanks for. And what I realized the next morning I woke up, I never said amen. I slowly just drifted off. And I've done that a few times. So therefore, rather than depending on a sleeping pill, if you're having trouble going to sleep or whatever, whether you're worried or whatever, try just, giving thanks for what you have in your life. The heartbeat in your veins, the breath in your lungs. I know a little bit about how important that is. If you don't have them, you're not going to have a good day. You'll be down there shaking hands with the undertaker before the sun sets, But my point being, practice on giving thanks for what you have. Giving thanks that, for your limitations, because that's a blessing too. And just find ways to be thankful and look for ways to reach out and just let a friend know, hey, I was thinking of you today. Hope you're doing good. It doesn't have to be a big, long thing. And, when I was in, you might get a kick out of this, Kim, I don't know. Hopefully the folks out there in TV land will. When I was in ICU after I came out of surgery for my heart surgery and all, my wife took a picture of me. Of course, I'm laying there and I'm in orbit around Jupiter. I hadn't come back to planet Earth yet, So I sent it to my buddies wanted to see a picture of me, so I sent it to them and I said, by the way, guys, this is not a selfie. But the point being is that I gave thanks, and I do give thanks that I had a heart attack. I do give thanks I had open heart surgery. I do give thanks that I had the 4 bypasses because it saved my life. That's important. And I feel better now than I felt in a long time. And I figured if they ever come up with a procedure to put 4 bypasses into the brain, fresh blood up there might do wonders. I might want to consider that one, you know what I mean? But,
that's fabulous. That is so spot on. When it just brings me to recently where my pulmonologist surgeon brought to me a picture of all the massive clots that the cancer had caused in my body,
right.
and I thought, he goes, "Oh, do you want to see a picture?" And he was so excited about it, and I thought, "Good heavens!" I said, "Is that what all you have in your phone?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I think it's exciting because it lets me see, where people were, and then after the surgery, where they are now." And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Well, I have pictures of my cats in my gallery."
Yeah.
But then he sent me the pictures so that I would have it. And when I've shared it with people, people have said, "Why did you send this to me? It's so disturbing." And I said, "Oh, I can appreciate that. I've been on that journey, but now I get it. Is that I look at it and yeah, it still kind of throws me back, but I realize what strength I had to come through that."
Oh, yeah. Yeah, our time is gone, ladies and gentlemen. We're a little bit over. But anyway, on behalf of Kim and myself, we want to thank you so much for tuning in. Most importantly, we sincerely hope that we've shared something with you that will help you in your life. And if you know of someone else that might be interested in this message, please, please, please let them know about it. And Kim and I will be back next Friday. And we look forward to being with you folks out there in TV land. But sincerely, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you have a blessed weekend, or whenever you see this, we hope you have a blessed day. Take care of yourself, love yourself first, then you can love others. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.